Turbulence can graduate from light to severe, but it's actually an issue of comfort for the passengers, not that of safety. These are the words of Gopal Mohan, a retired military and civil pilot with about 47 years of experience in his kitty, but currently oversees quality assurance at Arik Air.
Turbulence is actually more of a nuisance than a safety issue. Right? It is the aircraft is actually made a very robust design, so the aircraft does not break up in turbulence. It's a very misnomer that people have of a danger associated with turbulence. The danger primarily comes from a comfort point of view of a person sitting inside. Now, what happens in an aircraft is that you are sitting inside the aircraft, you have no view of the outside, and you only feel the bumpiness that you feel. The bumpiness itself is not very severe, although inside the aircraft you feel apprehensive because a normal person feels the fear of flying, as even in calm weather, a lot of people are not very comfortable flying and they get apprehensive in the air, and associated with the turbulence they get more fearsome regarding what is going to happen. Now, historically, if you look at it, there's been in the last few decades there have been no instances of an aircraft getting damaged due to turbulence. But what happens is that there are people who've been injured, there are people who have got severe injuries during turbulence, primarily because they are not taken some basic precautions. You have cabin crew get injured on an aircraft primarily because they are walking down the aisle and serving drinks, and you will find suddenly you encounter turbulence and you get thrown up because of the turbulence, and then you land up, and unexpected turbulence can cause you injuries. As a passenger, if you're wearing a seat belt and fastened, then there is actually not much of a worry other than the feeling of discomfort during turbulence. Now, a lot of people talk about the aircraft falling out of the sky, hitting air pockets, and there are people who said that it fell almost 2,000 to 3,000 feet in about 2 to 3 seconds. Right. Now, those are actually not true. The altitude variation that the aircraft undergoes during turbulence is normally about 10 to 15 feet. A maximum of 30 to 40 feet is what one encounters. The altitude does not change more than 30 or 40 feet. So when a person says we almost fell out of the sky, it is a misnomer. It doesn't really happen. Right. And we also loosely coined the term called air pockets. Now, the air pocket is again very little understood by the people. Now, when you talk about an air pocket, one feels that there is a vacuum of place, and then as you go the aircraft drops out of the sky. It is not so. It is just, again, it is a term for a turbulence where the aircraft flies and then it goes into a turbulent air. Now, you got a smooth air, and what happens is that when the aircraft is turbulent, the lift on the aircraft gets changed momentarily, and because the momentary change in lift, the aircraft tends to pitch up or pitch down by a small margin. Now, those are abrupt changes. What you feel is the acceleration, like when you get to the lift and the lift start going up, especially in a high-speed lift. Initially you can feel the lift moving, and once the lift starts moving, then you don't feel the lift moving at all. So what happens is that only the initial movement you feel, and that in an aircraft, in a turbulent, that movement can be little severe. Okay. If you look at the cockpit during a flight where even severe turbulence takes place, now they are not fighting with the controls like what happens in a ship. All this thing is, yes, we are encountering turbulence, how best to handle the turbulence. It is a question of managing. So, is it okay, I need to reduce the speed to what we call a turbulent penetration speed. Thereafter, you just see there are slight adjustment to the engine speed, what we call the thrust adjustment. You do thrust adjustment to be able to control the small variations altitude. That's about what happens in that. And otherwise, there is nothing panicky taking place in the cockpit. Unlike what you see in a ship where the captain is struggling with the tiller and things like that. You have a low-level turbulence, which is like the wind is flowing over the a smooth surface, and you have hills, you got buildings, and which hampers the smooth flow of air. When it hampers a smooth flow of air, and the air now becomes turbulent, and when you come in for approach and landing in areas where there are tall buildings and things like that, you will find that this turbulent air interferes with smooth flying and the aircraft gets thrown around a little bit. That is a normal turbulent feature that you encounter during low-level activities.
We would like to hear from those who have experienced turbulence on a flight. Our feedback platform is always open, and we're eager to see you share this with us. Moving on, an aircraft built with resilience, wider seats, lower noise levels, drought-free air circulation, and accurate temperature control that keeps passengers feeling fresh and comfortable during a long flight. Details when we return.